What can you say about Nate Robinson, the former NBA player who comes out saying, "This is for all my NBA brothers, this is for everybody that I ever played with, I'm going to go out there and whoop ass." And he was fighting Jake Paul. Which is technically a legitimate athlete. They're both athletes, but Nate is a basketball player, not a combat athlete. And the problem with that is when you see the way Jake, you either love him or you hate him. So here's the breakdown. Load it up, way up. Okay, let's go back. It says Jake Paul is 23. 1 fight, 1 win, 0 losses, 0 draws, 1 KO. He is 6'1", and he weighed in at 189 pounds, right? Because they're going by meters. And then Nate Robinson is 36 years old, 5'9", and he played in the NBA. Okay, and it just, to be honest, he just got murdered in that fight. He looked amateurish. He looked like a fish out of water. I think what's happening is Jake Paul is taking these fights serious. He's taking these fights serious and training with a real training camp. And then you have people like Nate Robinson, which is a basketball player who, yeah, he takes basketball serious, but he never took the training for his fight serious. Because the way he looked like he was trying to bum rush him, and like I said, he looked like he wasn't even supposed to be in that ring. He looked like he wasn't even supposed to be there. So for myself, watching the fight, he looked like he got knocked out like 3 or 4 times. The referee could have stopped it multiple times, but they didn't. And the point when he gets brutally knocked out and he just face plants, it was a brutal knockout. I don't care if you're a fan of Jake Paul, or you thought the fight was fixed or whatever. The knockout was brutality at its finest. Okay, that was like Conor McGregor knocking out Jose Aldo. He hit the floor face first. So for myself, when he first got knocked down in the first round, you could have said the fight was done, the fight was over. But why didn't they call it? You either love it or you hate it, but the bottom line is people are buying this stuff up. People are still purchasing tickets to buy it. People are. Here's the gimmick. People hate Jake Paul, so they're going to keep tuning in until they see him get his ass whooped by a legitimate fighter. Is Jake Paul as good as he thinks he is? Possibly. Is he as bad as people say he is? Maybe. Maybe because he's fighting these tomato cans, he's looking outrageously good. Because you could say Nate Robinson is a tomato can. He's not even good enough to hang and bang with some people in a gym. He just looked like a fish out of water. But Jake Paul did what Jake Paul did. He shows that he has a little bit of boxing skill. And the only criticism that I'll say about this, because I like the way they did it. White ropes, lit the ring very well, and they had the crowd section blurred out, like just blacked out, and it looked very, very sharp, very, very crispy, like nice camera work, nice production. The only thing that sucked about it is too much rap music. I don't care if you're a rap fan or whatever, even if it was hard rock or country, whatever, there was way too much music in between matches, and you had Snoop Dogg doing commentary. He's not a commentator, okay? It's not great. He's like, this is like a backyard brawl. My grandma and my aunt are fighting. It's like, who? What? Or he's like, this is like at the family barbecue when Billy and Bob are just swinging for the fences. It's like, dude, nobody wants to hear that. People had Israel Adesanya there, a true fighter, and you had Ronaldo. That guy is a real commentator. And apparently, right here reading online, it says Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Twitter loved Snoop Dogg's commentary on the fight. It was so to the point that Snoop Dogg was yelling like at full blast, like he was trying to get Roy Jones's attention. And to me, I wouldn't even have put that dude on the commentating table because you had legitimate 185-pound champion and the best commentator in the business. You have Ronaldo and you had the best fighter in the world, right? It makes no sense to have Snoop. It would be like having Joe Rogan and Snoop. It wouldn't mix very well because Joe Rogan, that guy who knows what he's talking about, and Snoop is just a casual fan. He knows some of the stuff, like he's swinging for the fences or he's doing a looping hook. He knows some of the terms because he's a fan of the sport. But when you really think about it and you really sit down and listen to it, it's just like a fan drinking a beer on his couch. You're like a sideline guy screaming and yelling. And he kept saying, Roy, kick his ass, kick his ass. It's like, kick his ass, Seabass. No one wants to hear that garbage. No one wants to hear that. It's like a fan sitting in the couch. You're yelling and you're chanting stuff that makes no sense. At least for me, I didn't find the overall music and the overall Snoop Dogg production commentating very, very great. But I'll say whoever did this fight card, whoever put it on, they actually put on an entertaining fight card, okay? But getting back to the Jake Paul fight, I thought Jake Paul did what he was supposed to do, but Nate Robinson just looked like a dummy. Just kept running at him and clinching and running at him and clinching and running at him and clinching. And to me, that was just ridiculous. It's just like, dude, stop running and throw hands. You were running at him. It's obvious he didn't train for this fight, because obviously when you look at the fight, you could clearly see the dude had no idea what he was doing, and it just looked pretty dumb, okay? Like, if you didn't even train for this fight and you were hyping the fight up, like, I'm gonna kick the shit out of Jake Paul, I'm going to win this fight from my MMA, from my NBA brothers, and it's going to be the most dominating thing you've ever seen. All his fans, like LeBron James, probably looked at this fight and was, like, embarrassed. Because, like I said, he didn't even look like he trained a single ounce for this fight. He just came running. And I'm like, I understand if you don't train, still knuckle up and throw hands. You got dropped 4 or 5 times. The referee could have just called it, okay? But I just think whoever the referee was for that fight was completely dumb because he didn't stop the fight like he should. But overall, I think the fight card was pretty good. The Jake Paul fight would have been better if you would have had somebody who knew what they were doing, or at least would throw and not just keep running at you and running at you. And then you had the Tyson fight, which I thought Tyson won like 1,000,000-1. He came in there swinging, bobbing, and weaving. I thought it was pretty good overall, but I'll never say that the fight with Jake Paul was great. I think Jake Paul did great, but I think what that other dude was doing, Nate Robinson, was embarrassing. I think that gives a bad name to the sport of boxing. It really does. You have a guy that's just running at you, and it's like, why you keep running at me? Just stop running, because it makes no sense that he was just running at his opponent. It's like, it's not an MMA fight. It definitely is not. So, stop. But with that being said, guys, we will see you guys on the flip side. That was just my take on the fight. Like I said, Jake Paul did what he had to do to win. Jake Paul did call out Dylan Danis, if I'm not mistaken, and Conor McGregor. Like I said, if this is going to be something that the Jake Paul brother or the Paul brothers do for a long time, they could set it up where they fight bums and like tomato cans and win, and then they would always look like a badass. But they're making money. That's what they're doing. They're doing smart shit. They're considered YouTube boxers or YouTube rappers. I really would want to see him keep doing this and see how much he can get better, and see the competition of him fighting legit boxers, even if they're amateur boxers, somebody who's been training for a long time. Because fighting people like Nate Robinson, who's a NBA guy, you obviously know Jake Paul's going to win because he has more time in the fight. I think he's technically fought like 3 boxing matches, like 2 amateur and 1 professional. So this is like his first professional fight. But overall, I I like the production. I like the overall pay-per-view for what it was, and it was stacked top to bottom. But for them to basically have Nate Robinson just do what he did, that wasn't great. But we will see you guys next time. Do you guys think that Conor McGregor would just knock his ass out in less than 30 seconds? Or do you think he actually has a chance fighting somebody like a Conor McGregor? Because for me, I don't think Jake Paul is at that level yet. But I want to see him improve and actually fight real boxers and not YouTube guys and not Instagrammers, not social media characters. I want him to fight a legit boxer that will give him a tough time. Not just Billy down the street or LeBron James, some basketball player. No, I want to see him fighting legit boxers to see if he can actually hang and bang. And if he can actually bang and win against these boxers, then he's legit. But until then, I'm going to say what he did and what he was capable of doing last night was impressive by knocking that dude's head off, because that dude should have been done with. He dropped him like 3 times, and the referee was still like, oh no, the fight's still going on. No, the referee should have stopped the fight after the first knockdown. So it's always just your boy Trevor back with another MMA breakdown.